SummerSlam is well on its way, and I, for one...
Excuse me, we'd like to get your opinion on the comments that Natty made about last night on Raw.
Well, I'd just like to say that if Natty thinks she can put down my baked mac and cheese and get away with it, she's got another thing coming. She can hand me her spoon to use to mix all day with, but if she did, I wouldn't take her spoon. I'd use my spoon instead. Or a fork, if I had to. You know, I challenge her to make a better mac and cheese at the same time as me. And I would, too, but I know she wouldn't accept, so I'm not going to. It's been a while, my fellow outlaws, but this is your in-ring rundown, and I am that N-A-K-A-K-double-G. And I'd like us all to just take a step back and reflect on the fact that this child that hasn't even been born yet has more single title wins than Braun Strowman. This week on Cinemageddon, Raw comes to us from Little Rock, Arkansas, because Arkansas was here first. Hitting us all in the face with a promotional video full of beautiful backstage carnival music, regarding the most important, the most featured, and the most logically consistent title in all of WWE, the 24/7 Championship. This immediately sends us off careening into a championship match between R-Truth and Carmella against Dragon Warrior Drake Maverick and his wife, Renee Younger. Only a few moments pass before Corey starts reliving that time he made the mistake of going to the autograph signing after the Justin Bieber concert.
This mosh pit could turn into like a wall of death at a metal concert.
R-Truth pulls off a dance move so powerful that all of Drake's will to live is freed from his body, causing him to suffer defeat, allowing R-Truth to retain his championship before Mike Kanellis shows us his shape-shifting skills, turning into a blob of 20 superstars and covering him immediately in a dog pile. He wins the 24/7 championship and then immediately flees to the back with the belt. He does hide in a random backstage office for some time before Mother Grizzly appears and threatens him in the same way that my ex once did when I was hiding in the bathroom, definitely completely sober, eating her chicken wings that she ordered early on in the night.
If you don't let me in right now, I'm going to knock down this door and kick you in your vagina.
Next up is a 5-man gauntlet match to determine the #1 contender for AJ Styles' US Championship. Why, who's gonna start the match? Why, of course it's Rey Mysterio Johnson here to take on the Swiss Army knife Cesaro. Complete with full Windows Movie Maker background and a theme that makes me think that if he just suddenly turned into Anjuman, I'd kinda be okay with it. But Jesus Christ, man, change your finisher. Both men become trapeze artists at the same time, flipping over the rope and holding their pose together before Rey accidentally slips on a banana. The Cyborg goes for a literal sideswipe razor's edge, which is kind of one of my finishers to a T, gaining so many brownie points by yours truly in the process. But unfortunately, that's not enough to save him from going to the top of the Samoan Summit and accidentally slipping off, leaving him vulnerable to the 6 × 1 × 9 = 54, and being eliminated by the mysterious one himself. Sammy comes out next, does a botch, and there he goes. Good to see you, Sammy. The 4th man to join this match is Andrade, flagged by South American version of Trish Stratus, who tomorrow on SmackDown Live is to be interviewed by a hopefully not topless Jerry Lawler. Rey bounces off the ropes, but he is caught by the Anquido, who turns it into a 3 amigos, giving praise, sincere praise of course, to Eddie G. He eventually does hit Rey with a hammerlock DDT and scores the pinfall, but Michael Cole is just unwilling to accept it.
Hook of the leg now by Andrade, who defeats Rey. No!
The final man, Ricochet, comes out to challenge Andrade and the pesky Zelina M. Vega, who's getting involved in this match way too often.
Ricochet.
Did he just fucking wall tech off him? Both men head to the top of the treehouse, but unfortunately for Andrade, his footwork leaves a lot to be desired and accidentally slips off one of the branches, leaving him vulnerable to a 630 splash and the win by Ricochet. Kayla immediately appears after the match to interview Ricochet. She asks him that one simple important question. How's my butt look in this dress?
You know, Kayla, I like that.
Of course, Touchy-Felia would be the ref roaring and ready to go when Maria asked him for any of their weird roleplay sessions with her husband. This one resulting in her becoming the 24/7 champion, in which she immediately starts taunting all the other former combatants.
Would you wrestle a pregnant lady?
Yup. A moment of bliss is here, and nobody gave a shit. Natty is being trained by a Finley that is fit. The man attacks like a dog at a pit. The crowd doesn't care. They think this is lit. Why is the man oh so tan, as she simply spouts demands? Oh wait, it's the Usos. Next up is a triple threat tag team championship match between the Revival, Sandy and Kirsten from the OC, and 2 men who are trying really hard to make the slogan, "Welcome to the Uso Penitentiary," a legitimate requirement for having to see them again. Corey Graves and Renee Young, when he needs it, they will put Michael Cole in timeout.
Yeah, the OC, which means the original, the only club that matters. You forgot official, Cole.
Yeah, Cole.
Sorry.
This match goes on for a good 8 minutes before the 2 men of the OC can get involved. Carl Anderson and a man who looks like he legitimately dives into a pool of syrup before he competes. Seriously, man, how could there be such a thick layer of syrup on those arms? Ron Swanson himself could use those arms as all the syrup he could ever need for breakfast. for one breakfast. This genuinely entertaining tag team match goes on for nearly 20 minutes with a massive suplex off the top rope by Jimmy Uso onto Scott Dawson to the sea of humanity below. The Usos deliver a super kick right before the Revival land a shatter machine, right before the Uso hits a crossbody, right before Scott Dawson lands a spine buster, right before the OC land a magic killer onto Jay and Ashley pick up the win, taking the tag team championships back to Southern California where they belong, and celebrating way harder than 3 grown men should ever celebrate.
As the Universal Champion goes one-on-one with Dolph Ziggler.
Wow, Corey, Brock sure did lose a lot of weight, gained hair, and starts sounding like a bird every time he talked. Huh. Well, I guess that part's kind of the same. These 2 large men that WWE found at Comic-Con a couple months ago are destroying jobbers the likes of which you've never seen before.
Yeah, you've never seen a big man move like this.
They are wrecking.
If you mean waddling, I see that every day, bitch. Our personal narrators, Salt and Pepper, are here to tell us about things we just saw, coming dangerously close to committing a slip-up that Booker T might know something about.
Hey, yo, we already know Dolph Ziggler got a little smoke coming his way.
Alexa vs. The Man comes to us next on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. And while these two do have a nice back and forth match, we learn that even when Renee Young is right, she's still wrong.
And Natalia,
That's
who will
Alexa.
face Becky Lynch. Well,
Sorry,
let me
my
finish
bad.
my story.
Sorry.
Here's the cover. Yeah, you're all jumpy tonight.
Listen, I was just trying to correct you, trying to keep us on track.
About 8 minutes into the match, literally nothing happens, which causes Alexa's ankle to be injured so badly that she must stop, instantly summoning a level 2 monster, Nikki Cross, who is the only person small enough to be Alexa's minion. But unfortunately, that minion only lasts a couple minutes before being put down with a panhandle slam. But before you get all worried, Alexa's Wolverine genetics kick in and she is healed right away, allowing them to beat down the man right after the match. This only lasts a short while before the Queen of Kittens appears herself, full of milk and full of vengeance. Natty lays in the sharpshooter before storming back to the locker room to cut a promo that can only be rivaled by Regis Mark V himself.
I am Regis Smart 5.
It's about being
I will
professional.
destroy all.
And
Regis will incinerate this
at
planet and
SummerSlam,
enslave
after
all
I
its
beat
occupants.
Becky
You will
Lynch,
all beg for
she's not
mercy
going to want to shake
in
my
vain.
hand.
The debris of your planet
I wouldn't
will
shake her
litter
hand
this solar
if she
system.
gave me her hand, because I don't trust her.
upon your very atoms. You are
fact,
no match for the superior
I'd like
tactical
to
abilities
challenge
of
Becky
the Regis
Lynch
Mark
to a
5.
submission
The Regis
match.
Mark 5 is
My
invincible.
superior
No
sharpshooter
weapon forged by such
to
a
her
primitive species can
inferior
defeat Regis,
disarmor.
which is invincible.
But I don't
The
think
Regis Mark
the
5 is
man
the ultimate fighting
has the
machine.
guts
Unstoppable,
to accept my challenge.
merciless, glorious.
And that's
no
why
one
I'm
is
not
safe
gonna
from
issue
the
it.
Regis.
Seth Rollins is oh so giddy when he hears the music of his best friend Shawn Michaels that he's maybe had 2 on-screen interactions with, but that is immediately enraged when he finds out that it's just his best friend Ziggler. They immediately start dueling with super kicks before the beast, Brock Lesnar, comes down to the ring without any warning whatsoever, laying a beatdown on Seth so brutal that even Renee Young starts to have World War II flashbacks.
The Germans are just gonna keep on coming!
The Beast throws Seth Rollins onto a chair so many times that he even begins to cough up blood, scaring Paul Heyman and begging him to stop, which he eventually does because he remembers without that massive paycheck from SummerSlam, he may not be able to afford those extra 15,000 acres in Canada for human hunting. We come back from the commercial break where Seth's blood content has gone up at least 5-fold as helplessly the onlookers such as Becky and Roman look on helplessly. Roman is immediately attacked by the Orange Brothers of Good County and Samoa Joeber, before our attention is cut back to Brock Lesnar, who is all of a sudden using the Force to stop an ambulance with his bare hand, ripping him out of the back of the ambulance and giving him one final F5 onto the top of the stretcher, serving as karma incarnate for all the stupid shitty tweets that he's been making over the past few months. Now, I'm sorry, Seth, this may be a bad time to ask, but I was thinking about getting highlights. What do you think? Alright then, I'll just ask again later. We end the night at the top of the Samoan Summit, wherever the fuck that is meant to be. A fight cloud of superstars is gathered before Cedric Alexander actually manages to find the top of the summit. But unfortunately for him to actually stand on the top of the summit and use its powers, you must have done at least one film with The Rock, so he's immediately hurled off. Well, that's it for this week's episode. I want to thank you all for watching. Tune in next week as I pay a surprise visit to Maria during her gynecologist visit. She thinks I won't pin her. She's fucking wrong. I'll do it. And of course, a shout out to all my patrons. I'll be thinking of all of you the next time I shave this goatee into perfection. That doesn't mean anything. This has been the man from Earth with all the girth. Be the character you know you're worth. Later. With a massive machine, right before the Uso hits a crossbody, right before the Shatter Machine hits the Revival. They immediately start dueling with super kicks before Brock Lesnar shows himself. Both men head to the top of the treehouse, but unfortunately for Andrade, his footweak leads... And I'd like us all to just take a step